So from that draw of Mythos cards, the plot we've come out with is that a famous author's wife has contacted the investigators to tell them of an outbreak of dysentery in Red Hook, and she suspects that there's a supernatural origin of this outbreak. Now, the ultimate antagonist will be a hunting horror, and the only way to defeat this hunting horror will be to use this spell to command it to leave this plane of existence. Now, if we look at Call of Cthulhu, the hunting horror is a very powerful creature, and a good equivalent in fighting fantasy would be a snake demon, which are very powerful indeed. So with those plot points to start off with, we shall see how the story goes. So we have our heroes here: Millicent O'Riordan, a journalist, and Patrick McQueen, a private investigator. They have been brought in by Mrs. Sonia Lovecraft, who fears that the outbreak of dysentery in Red Hook has a supernatural origin. We know from a professor that Professor Rafe MacDonald, that he suspects that a hunting horror is behind the outbreak. Somehow the corruption associated with the creature has caused it down by the docks in Red Hook, and so our heroes are going to investigate where the hunting horror is and how to find the spell that will send it back whence it came. I have 5 New York locations in the Mythos deck I have, as well as Red Hook itself. This will not be a geography lesson on New York. These are just all the locations I have, so I'm going to use them all, and our investigators are going to explore them and try and find out the artifact that they need, the spell, and where the monster is hidden. So they begin their investigation as they arrive at the railway station. Now, I've made some tokens here. One of them has the monster on it, one of them has the artifact on it, and the others might have other things on. So they arrive at the location. I'll roll the story cubes. I'm using the Voyages set. These two caught my eye. The investigators spot a small, suspicious-looking man going into a sort of downstairs area, like some kind of workroom not open to the general public, which leads down into the depths of the station. Now I'm going to reveal what the token is. Oh dear. Okay. That means that the monster is at the station. Now let's figure out how the investigators deal with that. Millicent has the sneak skill, so she will try to sneak down the stairs and find out where the strange little man is going, and Patrick McQueen will stay at the top of the stairs for the moment, keeping a lookout, even though they're not actually up to no good, but they don't want to draw undue attention to themselves. So I'm going to roll the fate dice to see if there's any difficulty with the stairs, or if they're particularly difficult to sneak down. So they get a plus and a minus, so we'll leave it as her sneak skill of 10, which she manages very well, I think. So Millicent manages to sneak down the stairs, and she finds herself in this temple where some suspicious characters seem to be discussing something. She's going to take a hide roll because she has the hide skill, 9. Okay, she manages it, and now she's going to find out what kind of thing the characters are talking about. So let's see what results we've got. So this suggests that the cult has been deliberately poisoning the water with bacteria, which has been making everybody ill with dysentery, and this is in some way connected to the hunting horror. Now I'm going to draw one of the Mythos cards to find out which name she picks up, and Gomez is one of the characters. He's one of the lead cultists, so we will bear that in mind. We know who one of them is, and he is one of these characters here, who is at the temple beneath the station. So now Millicent has snuck back up the stairway, and she's reconvened with Patrick McQueen at the top of the stairs, and they now know that the cult's headquarters are at the station, and that is probably where all of their nefarious doings are going on. But now they have to proceed to visit Mrs. Lovecraft and speak to her about what they've discovered and about what Mrs. Lovecraft knows. Roll the story cubes and see what happens at this new location. And unfortunately, when they arrive, they discover that Mrs. Lovecraft has been struck down with the sickness, and she's too ill to see them. So that makes things a bit more difficult. I'm going to reveal the token at this location, and it's the artifact. I'm going to rule that Mrs. Lovecraft is just able to tell them about how to find the artifact. She knows it's at one of these locations. Could be at the museum, could be at the bookshop, or it could be in the possession of an inmate at the sanatorium. So I don't want to make things too easy for them by just having Mrs. Lovecraft have the artifact. So she directs them to one of these three locations. I'm going to roll to decide which is the most likely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she thinks that it might be at the asylum. So I may reshuffle the remaining tokens and include that one to find out where exactly the spell is. So on Mrs. Lovecraft's recommendation, our characters will travel to the sanatorium and find out what's going on here. Oops. This result's actually quite interesting. Let's take the token. It's a mystery. But they are, by the looks of this, there's somebody here who knows about the bacteria. They found out about it when they were exploring in the Antarctic at the Mountains of Madness. And they also know about the hideout beneath the station. They suspect that the Mygo might be involved. As an aside, and this character is one of the cultists. Henry W. Akeley. Okay, the location isn't quite right, and he does have a connection with the Mygo, of course, from the Whisperer in the Darkness. Okay, I shall have a further think about this. So perhaps the Mygo created the virus that is making everybody ill. But you know, it's a useful extra bit of background to the story anyway. So we've found out all we can from Henry Akeley at the sanatorium. He doesn't have the archive, and he doesn't know where it is. So we will have to go on exploring. So I think the investigators will travel to the bookshop now and find out what's going on there. Looks like there's information here about a cure. Now have a look at the rest of the symbols. Now Millicent recognises the small man that she followed into the headquarters of the cult. So let's find out who he is. This is the last cultist. He's smaller than he looks on this picture. Okay, Dr. Allen. So he runs the bookshop, the rather small man. Okay, and this would suppose that there is some connection to Yig. There's a mention again of the Mountains of Madness. So what they need to do is to find out the cure. But what is the token here? He also has the artifact. So here we have information about the cure to the illness, and the artifact itself is here. Now what are we going to do about that? Well, even in the horror Red Hook, Robert Sidham in the end realised the error of his ways and tried to set things right. So there is a possibility that Dr. Allen is having second thoughts about his involvement in the cult and about what they're doing. So how are we going to decide whether that's the case or not? I'm going to roll the actions cubes to see what the Doctor might do. So let's have a look at these results. Well, he knows that what the cult is doing is wrong. He's argued with them about it. He's not happy about them poisoning the water. And he's quite horrified by their actions. But then the cult does have a strong hold on him. So I'm going to roll the fate dice. And the cult's hold is too strong. So despite his misgivings, he won't give in. So Dr. Allen is suddenly going to spring at his attackers. Well, not his attackers, but the investigators. And he pulls a dagger. Now, Millicent O'Riordan has the awareness skill, so she will use that to try and detect his sudden attack, which she does. So she can warn Patrick McQueen. So as Dr. Allen leaps at them, Patrick McQueen can fire off a shot. So as the Dr. Allen is leaping towards the investigators, he is a moving target, so there's a -1, and I'm also going to give another -1 because Patrick McQueen hasn't had much time to prepare, and Millicent has just shouted a warning, so he's drawn his pistol really quickly, and he's having to fire at a moving target. So tell you what, let's say -3 in total. So his adjusted pistol skill is 8, so 8 or less, and that is a miss. So he fires, but he misses. So Dr. Allen leaps to attack Millicent because he's a coward and she was doing most of the questioning. So his skill is 8 and her skill is also Actually, she has unarmed combat, so her skill is 9. So Dr. Allen rolls first of all. So that's 16. And Millicent needs more than that. So unfortunately, he managed to hit her with his dagger, and he does 2 points of damage to her stamina. But I think she will try and use her luck to reduce the damage. And her luck is 12, so she will do just fine. So she only loses 1 point of stamina and loses 1 point of luck. Now, Patrick McQueen is also right beside her, so he is able to engage as well. And Dr. Allen suffers a -1 in this case because he is also fighting Millicent O'Riordan. So his skill as this second combatant joins in will be 7. That's a 13. And unarmed combat 11 for Patrick McQueen, and he hits, rolling 1 die for damage, which is a 4. That's 2 points of damage. The doctor is down to 5. And now the fight continues against Millicent O'Riordan. That is a 9 added to Dr. Allen's adjusted skill of 7 now. 16. And unarmed combat of 9 for Millicent. And that is good. So she rolls 1 die for damage. 6. She does 2 points of damage to the doctor. And now he fights Patrick McQueen again. That is a 7 added to his 7, that's 14. Unarmed combat for Patrick McQueen is 11. And that is not good. So the doctor wins that one and rolls a 6. That is 2 points of damage to Patrick McQueen. He will not bother rolling for luck to reduce the damage. He's not too bothered. Okay, we're back against Millicent. That is a 10, 17 for the doctor. And she rolls a 16. She'll try to roll her luck again to reduce the damage, and she absolutely fails. So she loses 1 luck point. He rolls his damage dice, which I guess I should have waited for, but it was likely to be a 2. So she loses 2 points of stamina against Patrick McQueen again. That's 4. And he can't lose unless he fumbles or something ridiculous, which Patrick McQueen does not do. He rolls a 2, which is a 1 point of stamina loss for the doctor. Millicent takes him on. 6 added to 7, that's 13. Her unarmed combat is 9. And she manages to win that one. She rolls a 1. She won't use her luck again. Why not? Actually, why not? Roll luck, add more damage. She succeeds, she loses 1 luck point, but he loses 2 stamina points, and he is subdued. So now they have overcome him, and they are able to extract the information they need by searching the bookshop thoroughly. Now Millicent has a mythology skill of 9, so she is able to find and understand what the spell is. So they are able to find the spell, and they will be able to use it against the hunting horror if they can get past the cultists. And they're also able to find the cure for the disease which is causing so much trouble, so they can set that underway. So our investigators race back to the home of Sonia Lovecraft with the cure, and they administer it to her, and she soon recovers, and they are able to bandage up their wounds and recover a minimum of 4 stamina, so that they are back to their initial stamina scores, before they then quickly set off back to the station to finally put this matter to rest. So they are both going to have to roll to see if they make it back down the stairs without being detected or overheard. The cultists may be on a heightened sense of awareness due to what happened at the bookstore. If they've heard about that yet, we don't know. Let's find out. 1 minus. I'm going to say that they have a hint that something's wrong. So I'm going to give a -1 modifier to the sneak rolls. Millicent has a sneak of 10, now 9. She makes. Patrick McQueen has a flat out skill of 9 and doesn't have the sneak skill, so he has to roll an 8 or less, and he does not. So the cultists hear the investigators coming down the stairs. They rush out of the temple entrance, and Gomez has a gun and he fires at Patrick McQueen. He needs to roll a 8 or less, I'm going to say, which he does. That is a 4, so that equals 2 points of damage. He's been shot. He will make a luck roll to try and reduce it to 1, which he does. He reduces his luck by 1 and his stamina only by 1. Now then, Patrick McQueen is going to shoot back at Gomez. He has pistol skill of 11, and I'm not going to put any modifier on it. He hits for a 1. So that is 1 point of damage. He will not try his luck roll again. He will just reduce Gomez to 8. Now they're going to get closer. Enemies are going to rush up. Investigators are going to rush towards them. They're going to get one more shot. Gomez is going to fire again, and he misses quite wildly, and almost injures himself in the process, but I'll let that go. And Patrick McQueen will return fire, and he hits, but only for a 1. So Gomez is hit again. I think, yeah, okay. He's going to send his thugs ahead of him to attack. So the cultist known as Graves is going to attack Patrick McQueen first. Graves has a skill of 8. So that's a 12. McQueen, unarmed combat of 11. So he cannot lose. 5. Unarmed combat 5 is 2 points of damage to Graves. Just turning into a big fight now, isn't it? Okay. And the others can't really get past. I guess they could. So Cloak here, he's going to attack, and because he has joined this two-person attack, Patrick McQueen will get a -1 to his unarmed combat. So Graves rolls, adds 6 to his 8, which is 14, and 10 plus, he still manages to win, Patrick McQueen, but I forgot, he is concentrating fighting Graves, so he doesn't actually do damage to Cloak, even though he won the die roll. Now what Millicent has decided to do is jump down the stairs and make a run for the temple to try and cast the spell. So she needs to roll an 8 or less. So she's going to roll her skill, which she manages to do. And it's not a huge drop, but she will, I think she's going to test her luck to make sure she's not injured. And she's not. So that's down to 8 luck points, but she's not injured and she's making a run for the temple. Now Gomez is going to be able to get off 1 shot at a moving target, so it's -1, so that makes his skill 7. He just manages to hit Millicent, and he rolls damage, which is a 3. That means she suffers 2 stamina damage. She's not too injured. She makes it into the temple. Now, as the plan has moved on, and as Millicent dashes into the temple, she sees that this statue, which she had seen before, is actually the form of the hunting horror, and she must roll her sanity of 12 to see if she goes crazy. Okay, she is safe, but she does lose 1 sanity, and now she must cast the spell. And as she has a mythology skill, she'll need to roll that. Yeah, okay. In order to cast the spell. She just manages it. So she casts the command of the bloody tongue, whatever that is, and the spell commands the hunting horror to disappear back into the dimension from whence it came. However, the fun isn't over yet, because we still have some cultists to deal with, and Gomez has entered the temple and he's very, very angry. 15. Oh, grief, he's fallen to pieces now. And the enemy rolls a 4, which is 2 stamina points. This fight is dragging now. 9 for Gomez. It is 17. Oh, you star. 5 for Millicent. And Gomez is defeated. Excellent. Now we have 1 battle left. 6 for Cloak. That's more like it. 2 is 1. He's down to 1 stamina. So we can, well, maybe not get some assistance because he's quite far away, but Cloak rolls a 4, that's a 12. easily beaten, and he is down and out, so our investigators can call the authorities and get these 3 cultists sent off to prison where they belong. Unfortunately, they have defeated the plot to poison Brooklyn and bring a hunting horror into our world. So if I look at the experience rules, I'm going to give each one of the adventurers 3 experience points, which they can spend on their special skills and things like that. Okay, well, that was one attempt at doing a solo Gothic horror roleplay adventure. The Mythos cards were very useful. I'm sure if you have lots of Mythos cards, you'll be able to come up with even more stuff. I just have this one set, but I did have a fair few New York locations, and a lot of these miniatures are from Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu. Some of the others are from Talisman. I always use miniatures from Talisman. And these are my old dungeon rooms. The rules I used are from Dungeoneer, and I used for Sanity, which I only used once. Those were based on the magic rules from Riddler and Reaver. The story cubes I used were the Voyages set, and on one occasion I used the Actions set. Always remember, the fate dice are your friend. They're a very simple way of throwing up something interesting, hopefully. Well, I hope this might be useful. It's just one way of attempting to deal with Gothic horror rather than a dungeon bash, even though it did end up in a big fight. But I tried to find some way of doing the investigation and making it somehow kind of work. So thanks for watching.